You don't overspend. You don't gamble. You don't buy crypto at 3 a.m. You budget. You save. You track every dollar. You are responsible. So why does it still feel like you're not getting ahead? That's the part nobody explains. Being good with money is not the same as building wealth. In fact, sometimes it does the opposite. Let's rewind. When people say someone is good with money, what do they mean? They mean you don't carry credit card debt. You don't miss payments. You don't buy things you can't afford. You live below your means. That's discipline. That's stability. That's control. But none of those things automatically create growth. They prevent collapse. And preventing collapse isn't the same as moving forward. Level 1, the saver. You save 10% of your income, maybe 15%. You build an emergency fund. You feel secure. That's smart. But the emergency fund sits in cash. Inflation quietly eats 3 to 5% a year. You're stable, but you're not compounding. You protected the downside. You never built the upside. Level 2, the optimizer. You cut expenses. No subscriptions you don't use. No daily coffee. No impulse spending. You find deals. You negotiate bills. You squeeze waste out of your life. You feel efficient. But here's the uncomfortable truth. There's a ceiling to optimization. You can only cut so much. There is a limit to frugality, but there's no limit to leverage. And optimization feels productive. Leverage feels risky, so you stay optimizing because it's safer. Level 3, the risk avoider. You don't like volatility. You don't want to lose money, so you avoid investments that swing. You avoid starting a business. You avoid negotiating aggressively. You avoid asking for equity. You choose guaranteed outcomes, and guaranteed outcomes pay predictably, but predictably small. You protect your capital. You never multiply. Now, zoom out. Being good with money is defensive. Wealth building is offensive. Defense keeps you alive. Offense wins the game. Most people master defense. Few learn offense. And the system rewards offense disproportionately. Here's the math nobody says out loud. If you save $500 per month and keep it in cash for 10 years, you'll have $60,000. Solid. If you invest that $500 per month at 8% for 10 years, closer to $90,000. At 20 years, the gap explodes. Same discipline, different positioning. Being good with money protects dollars. Positioning multiplies them. Now here's the psychological trap. If you grow up without money, safety becomes the goal. You don't want to lose. You don't want to be reckless. You don't want to fall backwards. So you build walls, emergency funds, stable jobs, low-risk profiles. All smart, all rational. But walls keep danger out. They also keep opportunity out. Level 4. The salary comfort. You have a stable job. You contribute to your 401k. You max your IRA. You avoid lifestyle creep. You're doing everything right. But you never negotiate aggressively. You never demand equity. You never push for asymmetric upside. You value stability over acceleration. And stability rarely compounds explosively. It compounds steadily, which feels safe but slow. Now compare that to someone who invests early despite volatility, negotiates ownership instead of just salary, starts something on the side, accepts calculated risk. They look reckless at first. You look disciplined. 10 years later, the gap isn't discipline, it's leverage. And leverage rewards risk tolerance, not just responsibility. This is where people get confused. Being reckless is not the answer. Debt-fueled gambling is not the answer. Blind optimism is not the answer. But staying permanently defensive, that's also not the answer. Because wealth is built at the intersection of discipline plus risk, not discipline alone. Now let's talk about the ceiling effect. When you're good with money, you often pride yourself on self-control. You don't need more. You don't chase status. You're content. But contentment can cap ambition. You stop asking, how do I build assets? And start asking, how do I stay stable? And staying stable is maintenance. Maintenance is neutral. Neutral doesn't compound. Here's the hidden system dynamic. The economy is built to reward ownership. Stocks, real estate, businesses, intellectual property, equity. If you're only a saver, you're not participating in ownership deeply. You're participating in income preservation. Income preservation keeps you middle. Ownership moves you upward. That's the divide. And here's the final twist. Being good with money feels morally superior. You're disciplined. You're responsible. You're careful. But the system doesn't reward morality. It rewards leverage. It rewards ownership. It rewards risk taken intelligently, not avoided entirely. So what keeps you broke? Not stupidity, not impulse spending, not irresponsibility. It's staying permanently defensive. You built a fortress, but never built a ladder. And a fortress keeps you safe until you realize you're still standing in the same place, year after year, balanced, stable, contained. Being good with money keeps you afloat. But floating isn't the same as moving. And if you never shift from protection to positioning, you'll always be secure and never free.